For the majority of my adult life, I've always had an interest in building with the Raspberry Pi and photography. But last year, when the Raspberry Pi high quality camera was released, I was actually living out of my car. Now, like so many other people, I was hit pretty hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, and one of the things that helped me keep focused was my photography. So when the Raspberry Pi organization set out to release a 12.3 megapixel Sony IMX477 based camera module, I decided it was finally time to try and play with the idea of building my own camera, which is something that I've been wanting to do for years. That was almost a year ago, and I have come a long way as evidenced by these proof of concepts from when I was sleeping in my car and building these prototypes out of actual trash and thrifted electronics. So today I'm actually going to be teaching you how to make your own, because if you guys haven't noticed by now, this is my regular recording camera. I'm actually recording this on the Raspberry Pi right now. And if you like the quality, then I'm about to teach you how to create your own. Let's go. So I've gone back to using my Panasonic camera for this portion of the video because I wanted to show you guys how I personally constructed my camera. This one right here. Now, you don't have to build it exactly how I did it. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it because the prices for Raspberry Pi parts right now on Amazon is kind of crazy. Here it is, right here. If you were to buy all these parts right now, I wouldn't recommend it. However, if you already have a lot of these parts, or you live close to a micro center, then I definitely recommend using a Raspberry Pi 4 2GB model and the high quality camera module. I could definitely recommend it. The interchangeable lens is amazing. Now, technically all you'd really need for this is a cheap capture card, like this one right here. And in fact, I wouldn't recommend anything better than this, and I'll explain in a minute. An SD card, any camera module, even the V2, you could also use the V2, and any Raspberry Pi capable of outputting a 1080p 30 FPS preview of the camera. Now, I've only tested this configuration with a 3B Plus and the Pi 4. I haven't really tested it with any other ones, but really any Raspberry Pi that can output 1080p 30 FPS for the camera preview without any lag is one that I would recommend for this project. Oh, you can also use a cheaper lens. So this one right here is actually $25 versus the $65 one that I bought. And with this one, you might get like a fisheye lens effect, and it's a fixed lens, so you can't change the focal length. So I would keep that in mind. Now, the reason I don't recommend like an Elgato Camlink 4K or something like that for this setup is because you can only get, with a Raspberry Pi and the camera module, you can only get 1080p 30 FPS out of it. You can't get 1080p 60 or 4K 30, even though technically the camera sensor in the high quality camera can output that much. And the reason for that is because the CSI connection on the Raspberry Pi only has 2 lanes versus 4. Now, the Jetson Nano can actually do the full 4 lanes, which means that it could do up to 4K 30 FPS with a camera module that supports it. They actually have a clone of the high-quality camera module from Raspberry Pi that does 4K 30 FPS, which is actually going to be my next project. I'm going to be looking into that for, some high-quality video recording. Unfortunately, though, I would only recommend live streaming with this camera because it's a fixed lens. This isn't going to be like your next GoPro or anything like that. All right, with that out of the way, let's walk through the step-by-step process. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is create a clean installation of Raspberry Pi OS. I would use the latest one. And right here, I'm just going to choose, the default one that you get from Raspberry Pi Imager. And then I'm going to select my SD card. I would definitely recommend one of the higher speed ones. Don't just use any SD card, because the faster you can boot into it, the faster you can boot into the camera image. But just go ahead and let this run. Now that we have our image loaded onto the SD card, what we want to do is write a script that's going to automatically run a preview of our camera, the same way a regular DSLR or mirrorless camera would when we plug in a viewfinder to it. Now, for this, all you have to do is go to your desktop and then right-click New File and name it camera.sh. And then what we're going to do is click on it, and what we're going to write into this is sudo raspivid-f-t0. Sudo's going to run it as an administrator, and then raspivid is the program we're actually going to use to pull up the preview. -f is going to give us a full screen, and -t0 is going to essentially set the timer for the preview. And we're setting it to 0 because that makes it run essentially forever, which is what we want. Now, it's not saving any files onto the Raspberry Pi, so it's not recording. It's essentially just a live preview of what your camera is currently, capturing. But anyways, once you do that, you go ahead and close it, save, and your file's right there. Now, what you need to do at this point is give it the proper permissions to go ahead and run as an executable. And to do that, what you want to do is open up a terminal and then run sudo chmod a+x and then home pi desktop camera.sh. Then click enter, and what that's going to do, and it's going to give that file the permissions it needs to run. So now when we click on it, it's going to ask if we want to execute it. Now we're not going to execute it now. We're going to do that at the end. Now, to essentially make this file run at startup, what you want to do is go to Chrome tab -E, scroll all the way down, and then at the very bottom, what you want to do is type in @reboot and then /home/pi/desktop/camera.sh, and then go ahead and exit, Y to save, enter, and you're done. Now at this point, all you have to do is reboot the Pi. Hey. All right. Looks like everything works. It's a little out of focus because, again, these lenses are manual. None of them are going to be automatic, but there we go. We're in business. Now you're probably wondering why anybody would do this when they can just buy an Elgato Cam Link and a cheap DSLR or even just a regular webcam. Well, for one, mind your business. And number two, with the ongoing shortage of web conferencing hardware due to the pandemic, Chinese New Year, and the lack of quality from even name brand sources like the Logitech C920 and the Brio, we're starved for options when it comes to quality, unless you're looking to spend $500 or more on a decent DSLR mirrorless setup like the one I'm recording with now. I also feel like a big thing 99% of webcams are missing is the ability to change to other lenses. And with the right adapters, you can even use bigger and better lenses meant for more full-featured cameras. Also, just like most of my Raspberry Pi projects, I do it because I have a niche to fill, I already have the parts, and because I can. And I don't worry myself with the questions like, should I? Well, that's it for this video tutorial. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them the best as I can. I also have a Twitch channel that I stream to every Saturday and Sunday at 9, and that's in the description down below. But other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.